What type of real estate market are we in? You're going to learn right now what's hot, what's not, and how to profit. So what's actually driving this real estate market that we're in right now? You're going to find out. What's the prediction for the real estate market? What are the experts saying? And what does that mean to you? And finally, towards the end of this video, I'm going to talk about how I've made money in every market, whether it's crashing or whether it's going up. And you won't want to miss that because I've been in all markets, been doing this 30 years. You'll want to hear this. You know, when people ask the question, what type of real estate market are we in? Basically what they're wondering, and what you may be wondering is, should I be buying? Should I be selling? Should I wait? Should I invest now? What should I do? And the first thing I'll tell you is that all markets are local. What's going on in Florida versus what's going on in Colorado versus what's going on in New Mexico are all different. So the answer to your question depends a little bit on your local market. With that being said, we are in a seller's market. A seller's market means that there's more buyers than there is sellers, and that's being driven by rising values. Values are up quite a bit over last year, on average between 15 and 17% around the country in many markets. So depending on where you live and where you're thinking about investing is going to depend on how much your market is up. And there's plenty of data on the internet where you can learn about that. But what's more important about whether the market's going up or whether the market's going down at any particular time is, what is your personal goal? If you're looking to buy a home to live in for 10 or 15 or 20 years, that's different than if you're an investor who's looking to buy property to hold 2, 3, 4, 10 years, or someone who's looking to buy property to fix and resell. So what's your goal depends on what you're going to do. But as far as the current market, Chase Bank recently, JP Morgan Chase rather, recently came out with a comment stating that they don't really think we're in a bubble. They think that there's just such demand. We have a number of millennials that are hitting in their 30s, they're starting to buy. And we have a number of people that are starting to move away from the cities. They want to get away from the core city areas and move out into the suburbs where they have more space and better quality of life in some cases. When you look at markets like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, for example, those markets are softening, okay? They're softening. So those markets are more of a buyer's market now. One of my friends who works for one of the banks I do business with has lived in San Francisco for over 10 years. And he said, I've never seen prices coming down like this and rents starting to soften. So locally, he sees a decline or a stabilization or no increase in prices. I have another friend who has a home in Florida, and he's seeing values crazy, going up and inventory very low, lots of demand, not a lot of inventory. I own a home in Florida. My Florida has continued to increase about 12 to 15% a year in the last 2 years. Why? Because people are moving out of high tax states into lower tax states for one, or people who are retiring are moving away from cold weather to warmer, more comfortable weather. So Florida was always known as one of the retirement capitals of the world, and it still is. My uncle used to live out in Key West, retired, loved it out there. So in Austin, Texas, the market's on fire, okay? In a place like Colorado, Denver, or Colorado Springs, people are moving there like crazy. Another hot market is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. People moving there. But you would be surprised to learn that some of the local markets where people have really never even heard of these towns that are doing much better real estate wise. 14 of the 20 top markets that are improving are in the Midwest and up in the Northeast. One of the hottest markets in the country, I'm going to tell you about in just a second, but make sure you subscribe so I can help you, right? I read about this stuff all the time. I'm invested in real estate all the time. I'm doing deals every day. I was talking about deals this morning. Subscribe down below. Hit the subscribe button now so that we can engage and I can continue to help you learn to earn and invest in real estate and increase your real estate knowledge. Realtor.com recently came out with a study that showed that Manchester, New Hampshire was one of the hottest markets, in fact, the hottest market in the country. Now, I've never been to New Hampshire and I never heard of it, and maybe you haven't too, but that just goes to show how local markets that are small can become very hot, because after the pandemic, we're seeing a shift in where people work from and where they live. So demand is changing in many of these markets, and the supply is just not there. During the pandemic, there was a lot of areas where building was not occurring because of either people being forced to stay home or companies being closed. So the supply line of goods that were needed in order to develop homes were limited. And that is still a bit of a challenge today. And we're seeing that the cost of things like lumber have increased significantly. There's also shortages in other things needed to make homes and build homes. And so we're seeing a demand in existing homes just because there's not that many. I read a report the other day, just last week, that said in the Phoenix metro area, which is pretty close to where I'm building homes now in Arizona, had an 8-day inventory. That's 8 days, okay? Normally it's 6 months. So you tell me what's going to happen to prices in Arizona if there's an 8-day inventory. You think that market's going to crash? Probably not, okay? So for those of you who are worried about buying, my suggestion is if you're going to buy a home, I think the markets that are strong are going to remain strong. The markets that are weak are going to continue to remain somewhat weak. But you will see people coming in as prices decrease in places like San Francisco. But you're going to also see that people who want to flip properties and who want to, buy, fix, and sell, that there's going to be limited inventory for them too. Some people think there's going to be this wave of foreclosures because of COVID, because all these people weren't able to pay their homes. Well, I can tell you, I live in Las Vegas, and we were hit as hard as anyone because of COVID, because a good number of our people work in the casinos and they were closed, right? So those people are going to get relief. They're going to get government relief in the form of programs and money, and they're also going to get relief from the banks. As a matter of public policy, politicians are going to write laws and encourage banks to work with homeowners to either put whatever they could not pay on the back end, or re-amateurize or readjust their payments, or some other workout. Back in 2007, 2008, when many of us got killed, and I was one of them, there is a concern to not repeat the past. We don't want to see millions of people kicked out of their homes. If people can pay when they get back on their feet and go back to work, we want them to, as a matter of public policy. It's the best thing. The banks don't want to deal with all these foreclosures. It costs them tens of thousands of dollars. Of course, investors want a bunch of them, right? Because they could have the potential to make money. But this market's so hot, a lot of these foreclosures are being put back on the market at market rates, and the deals just aren't there. So if you want to be in the real estate market as somebody who's going to buy and live in your property for a long time, I think that's a good time to buy right now, because rates are super low and you're going to be living there. If you're an investor trying to buy flips, it's a little tougher. They're out there, but it's a little tougher. Most of mine I find from realtors or stuff that's off market where somebody needs a quick sale, somebody passed away, or the property's as is and it's all beat up and they just want to get rid of it. And then, of course, if you're an investor, you're always looking for deals in any market, whether it goes up or down. And that's the last thing I'm going to talk to you about. I've bought in markets that are up. I've bought in markets that are down. Your job is to find out what's the best deal. For me, the best deal is low price per unit or low price per square foot. My number one thing that I think about as an investor is, what would it cost to build it? And I say it once, I say it all the time. You can't build it for that, okay? I'm buying a fourplex up in Northern California for $350,000. You cannot build it for that, okay? You just can't. You could take the thing apart and probably get $100,000 for the lumber. It's just a deal. Why do I say that? Because long term, as the rising cost of construction goes up, it's going to be harder and harder to buy fourplexes for $350,000. Rents are going to continue to rise. Why do I say that? Well, rents are rising because the demand for housing is growing, population's growing, there's more immigrants moving into the country that need housing. Down on the California, Arizona, Texas border, when you have people that are coming to flee some of the challenges in South Mexico and Central America and such, those people that are coming over the border, they need places to live, and they're going to need a place to live, okay? So where I am, we're already pretty full, so where are we going to put those people, see? So we want to have more housing, and we're building more housing around the country, but not fast enough, and that's the challenge. So whatever you're going to do, I suggest that you continue to focus on whatever your goals are in your game plan, and remember, where the market's going up, the market's going down, there's money to be made. And that's why you want to subscribe, because no matter what happens in the market, we're going to be talking about it. And many of you want to know, when is the next real estate crash going to happen? And I'm going to talk about that in the next video.